Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins Collections that turns pocket change into treasure and everyday coins into legendary collectibles. Today, we're traveling back to 1986, an unforgettable year in American history, and believe it or not, a year that left us with one of the most intriguing quarters ever struck in the United States. That we're talking about the 1986 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it might seem like any other coin you've seen in your spare change, but don't be fooled. Some rare versions of this quarter are so valuable, they've left collectors stunned, and yes, we're going to reveal exactly how much one of these elusive beauties is worth, so make sure you stay with us to the very end. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Over the decades, it became one of the most recognized and widely circulated coins in the U.S. But in 1986, something happened that made certain versions of this quarter highly sought after. The 1986 Washington quarter features a portrait of the nation's first president on the obverse, facing left, with the word "Liberty" above his head and the famous motto, "In God We Trust," to the left. The date, 1986, rests just below Washington's neck. On the reverse, we see the heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing America's power and peaceful intent. It's a design packed with pride, tradition, and legacy, but here's where things get really exciting. Most 1986 quarters are common, you'll find millions in circulation. But not all coins are created equal. There are a few specific quarters from this year that stand out from the rest, and the reason? Minting errors. That's right. These aren't your everyday coins. Certain 1986 Washington quarters left the mint with unusual and unexpected mistakes that turned them from pocket change into collector gold. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and even coins minted on the wrong planchet entirely. Imagine finding a quarter that was struck off-center so much that half of the design is missing, or one where George Washington's features are doubled, giving the coin a ghostly shadow. These errors were never meant to be released, but somehow, a few made it out, and now, they're priceless in the eyes of serious collectors. One of the most coveted errors is the double die obverse, where the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or the date appear doubled under magnification. These aren't easy to spot with the naked eye, but for trained collectors, they're like striking gold. And let's not forget condition. While error coins are rare, finding any 1986 Washington quarter in mint state, meaning it's never been used or circulated, is already a win. But combine that perfect condition with a rare error? That's the ultimate collector's dream. Here's a fun fact: coin grading plays a huge role in value. A 1986 quarter graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services can already fetch impressive prices, but throw in a rare mint error, and now we're in a whole new league. Collectors all over the world are constantly scanning their coin jars and old collections, hoping to find one of these elusive quarters. It's like modern-day treasure hunting, and the thrill of possibly holding history in your hands is what keeps the community buzzing. So, if you've got an old stash of coins sitting around, especially ones from the 80s, don't ignore those quarters. Examine them closely. Look for sharp details, strange shifts in the design, doubling of the text, or anything that seems out of the ordinary. Because one of those coins might just be the jackpot you didn't know you had. Alright, you've been patient, and now it's time for the big reveal. Are you ready? A rare 1986 Washington quarter dollar with the right error, in near-perfect condition, has been valued at an astonishing $74,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter. $74,000. So next time you're about to toss your spare change in a jar, take a closer look. Your next great discovery could be lying right in your hands. Today, we're diving into a piece of American currency that might just blow your mind. We're talking about the 1978 Washington quarter dollar. Now, before you toss that old quarter aside, thinking it's just worth 25 cents, let me stop you right there. What if I told you that one of these coins, hiding quietly in someone's change jar, turned out to be worth a small fortune? Not every 1978 quarter is the same. Some hold secrets. Some were struck with rare flaws. And some are worth more than most people would ever guess. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, honoring the legacy of the first U.S. president, George Washington. The design on the front features his left-facing profile, bold and classic. The reverse showcases a proud American eagle with its wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath, a perfect blend of strength and peace. A patriotic masterpiece on a coin, but 1978? That was a transitional time. The U.S. Mint was making changes, technology was shifting, and not every coin struck that year came out perfectly. While the majority of 1978 quarters look identical and are common in circulated condition, a small number of them came with rare and shocking minting errors that make them incredibly valuable today. Let's talk about those errors. These are not damage caused after the coin left the mint, these are mistakes that happened during production, and that's exactly what collectors are hunting for. Some 1978 quarters were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were struck using metal blanks meant for other coins, like dimes or foreign currency. That makes them lighter, thinner, or even slightly off-color. These are known as wrong planchet errors, and they're among the most valuable. Then you have the double die errors, where certain parts of the design, like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Under magnification, these errors become even more dramatic. You'll notice ghost-like outlines or thickened letters that look like shadows of themselves. These are highly sought after because they're not just rare, they're visually fascinating. Another collector favorite is the off-center strike. That's when the design on the coin is shifted noticeably to one side, leaving a blank crescent shape somewhere on the coin. The more off-center it is, without losing the date, the more valuable it becomes, and let's not forget about clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing due to a miscut blank. This creates a curved bite taken out of the edge of the coin, making it look like something right out of a cartoon. These are rare and instantly grab attention at auctions. Of course, rarity alone isn't enough. The condition of the coin, how well it's been preserved, matters just as much. Coins that have been in circulation, tossed in pockets, dropped on floors, or jingled around in drawers for decades will show signs of wear, dull luster, scratches, and worn-out details. But a 1978 quarter found in uncirculated or mint state condition? That's where things really start to heat up. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale to grade coins. A grade of MS 65 or higher means the coin is in near-perfect condition, showing sharp details, full luster, and minimal blemishes. Combine that with a rare error, and suddenly your 25-cent coin is no longer just pocket change, it's a collector's prize. Now here's where things get even more exciting. These rare errors don't just add a few bucks to the value, they can increase the worth of the coin exponentially. Auction houses and private collectors are willing to pay top dollar for unique specimens, especially when verified and graded by professionals. So the next time you're sorting through old coins or dumping your change on the counter, take a closer look at those quarters. Pay attention to the date. Flip it over. Tilt it under the light. Do you see doubling? Is the design shifted? Does it look lighter than normal? These small details can mean the difference between a regular coin and something life-changing. Now, you've waited patiently, and it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. One rare 1978 Washington quarter dollar, featuring a unique mint error and preserved in pristine condition, has been valued at an incredible $77,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin you might have dismissed as everyday change could actually be worth more than a brand new luxury car. So what are you waiting for? Go check your coin jars, your old wallets, even your grandparents' collection boxes. The treasure could be right under your nose. Today's episode is one you don't want to miss, especially if you've got a habit of checking your spare change. We're going deep into the world of the 1988 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that millions of people carried in their pockets, tossed in jars, or used for parking meters. But what if I told you that one very specific version of this quarter, one tiny variation, could make it worth a jaw-dropping fortune? Stick around, because you're about to find out just how rare and valuable some of these coins have become, and why collectors are going wild to get their hands on one. Let's rewind for a second. The Washington quarter has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1932. It features that iconic profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, and remains one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. By 1988, the design had barely changed, but what did change were the conditions under which some of these coins were struck. In 1988, the U.S. Mint was cranking out millions of quarters for general circulation. But during this mass production, a few special pieces slipped through with unintentional flaws, mistakes made during the minting process that would turn these coins into ultra-rare collector's items. Let's break down what makes these 1988 quarters so special. First, we have double die errors. These happen when the coin is struck more than once with slight shifts in alignment. The result? Doubling in the text or images. Look closely at the word liberty, the phrase, "In God we trust," or even the date itself. Under magnification, you might see ghostly outlines or thick letters. These are prized finds and can increase a coin's value dramatically. Then there's the elusive off-center strike. Imagine a coin where the design is noticeably shifted, leaving a blank crescent along the edge. It's a visual oddity and a conversation piece, for sure. The further off-center the strike, while still showing the date, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, and let's not forget about wrong planchet errors. These are coins that were mistakenly struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations. So you might end up with a 1988 quarter struck on a dime planchet, making it thinner, smaller, and sometimes even silver-colored. These are extremely rare and often discovered only by careful weight checks or comparison. Another exciting variation? Clipped planchets, where a chunk of the coin is missing due to a misfeed in the coining press. These curved clips or jagged bites out of the edge can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Now here's something collectors always talk about: condition. It's one thing to find a rare error, but finding it in mint state condition? That's where the magic happens. Coins that have never been circulated, still shining with original luster and sharp details, are graded on a 70-point scale. Anything MS 65 and above is considered a gem by collectors. Add an error to that level of condition? You've got something truly special. So why is the 1988 Washington quarter often overlooked? Probably because it looks just like the rest. There's nothing flashy about it, until you look closer. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about what you see. It's about what most people miss. Imagine this: you're sorting through old coins from your childhood piggy bank, or flipping through a dusty collection passed down from a grandparent, and there it is. A quarter that looks a little off. Maybe the letters look thicker than normal, or the coin feels lighter, or the design seems just a bit off-center. That could be your golden ticket. Because hidden among the millions of everyday coins are a select few, struck with rare errors, preserved in perfect shape, and quietly gaining value year after year. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Are you ready to hear what one of these 1988 Washington quarters could actually be worth? One verified 1988 quarter, featuring a rare minting error and graded in outstanding condition, has been valued at an astonishing $71,000. Yes, you heard that right. $71,000. From a single coin that once cost only 25 cents. So don't overlook the coins in your pocket. Don't toss those quarters in a drawer without giving them a second glance. Because somewhere out there, one of these rare 1988 quarters is still waiting to be found. Maybe it's already in your home. Maybe it's in your next handful of change. Today's video might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. We're going back in time to explore a coin that most people wouldn't give a second thought. It's a quarter. Simple, right? But not just any quarter. We're talking about the 1973 Washington quarter dollar, and believe it or not, this unassuming piece of metal has the power to shock even seasoned collectors. This coin, if it holds the right secrets, could be worth more than most people earn in a year. And by the end of this video you'll know exactly why, so make sure you watch until the final moment. Let's start with what you think you know about this coin. It's a 25-cent piece, minted by the United States in 1973. On the front, you'll find the iconic image of George Washington, based on the original 1932 design by John Flanagan. Liberty sits proudly above his head, in God we trust rests at his left, and the date, 1973, is placed beneath that strong, determined profile. Flip it over, and there's the fierce American bald eagle, wings stretched wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches underneath. It's patriotic, it's familiar, and for many, it's forgettable, but here's where things take a turn. The vast majority of 1973 quarters are worth just their face value, 25 cents. But hidden among them are a handful of incredibly rare examples, with features that were never meant to be seen by the public. These are error coins, and for collectors, they are pure gold. Let's break it down. What kind of errors are we talking about? First, there's the double die obverse, a highly sought-after minting error that occurs when the coin is struck more than once by misaligned dies. This can cause doubling in the inscriptions, like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date. If you see letters that look thickened or shadowed, you could be holding a double die, and that's when things get interesting. Next up, the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the strike, leaving part of the design missing and a crescent-shaped blank space on the coin. The more dramatic the off-center error, especially if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another jaw-dropping error is the wrong planchet strike, a 1973 quarter accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, like a nickel or even a foreign coin. These mistakes are incredibly rare and often escape the mint unnoticed. They're easy to miss unless you're paying attention to size, weight, or color. These unusual characteristics can make a coin extremely valuable to collectors. You might also stumble across a clipped planchet error, where a chunk of the coin is literally missing due to a mistake in cutting the metal strip before the coin was struck. These clipped errors create a curved or jagged edge, making the coin look like it took a bite out of itself. And here's something else that collectors love to talk about: condition. Even a rare error loses value if the coin is badly worn or scratched. That's why mint state coins, those in pristine, uncirculated condition, are the real stars. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services show off every tiny detail, every polished surface, and they carry serious weight in the collector market. Now, here's what most people don't realize: the 1973 quarter was produced in large numbers, but it was also a time before the internet and mass coin awareness. That means many rare coins from this era were never recognized and are still sitting in drawers, coin jars, or forgotten collections across the country. They're waiting to be found by someone like you. Imagine this. You're digging through old change, maybe helping clean out your grandparents' attic, or just casually checking a roll of quarters from the bank, and suddenly, something catches your eye. The design looks different. Something about the letters. Or maybe it's the shape. Could it be? You take a closer look, maybe pull out a magnifying glass, and realize, it's not just a quarter. It's a collector's dream. And now for the moment we've all been building toward, the reason you're still watching, the reason coin lovers get goosebumps. A 1973 Washington quarter dollar, struck with a rare mint error and preserved in stunning, uncirculated condition, has been valued at an astonishing $74,000. Yes, you heard that right. $74,000. For a quarter. A coin that could be sitting right now in your home, in a forgotten piggy bank, or even in your next handful of change. This is why collectors are obsessed. This is why we check every coin. Because sometimes, what looks ordinary, turns out to be extraordinary. Today's spotlight is on a coin that might look completely ordinary, but could be hiding an extraordinary secret. We're talking about the 1982 Washington quarter dollar, a small piece of metal that might just be worth way more than anyone ever expected. At first glance, this coin looks like every other quarter in your pocket. The classic profile of George Washington, the word Liberty above his head, In God We Trust, on the left, and the date, 1982, right below. Flip it over, and there's the proud American eagle, wings spread, clutching arrows, with olive branches below. A simple design, a familiar coin, and yet, within this particular year lies a story that's got collectors buzzing to this day. 1982 wasn't just another year for the US Mint. It was a year of major changes, production adjustments, and yes, a few very rare and very valuable errors that slipped through the cracks. You see, in 1982, the mint made a bold decision. Due to rising production costs, they stopped making uncirculated mint sets for collectors. That's right, no official mint sets were produced that year. And what does that mean? It means finding 1982 quarters in pristine condition is significantly harder than in most other years. Now let's take that rarity, and mix it with something even more exciting, minting errors. That's when things go from rare to remarkable. One of the most well-known errors found in some 1982 Washington quarters is the missing mint mark. Normally, a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint in this era should bear a P mark, but in some 1982 quarters, that mint mark is completely absent. This wasn't done intentionally. It happened because of a mistake during die preparation, making it an unintentional but highly collectible variation. Then there's the double die obverse, a striking error where the design on the front of the coin was impressed more than once, but slightly misaligned. This causes elements like the text and numbers to appear doubled. It's not always obvious, but under magnification, it's like discovering a ghost image hiding in plain sight. Collectors love these double die errors, especially on coins from years with already limited high-grade examples like 1982. Another sought-after error is the off-center strike. That's when the coin is struck off balance, leaving part of the design missing and a blank, crescent-shaped space along one side. These errors are both dramatic and eye-catching, and the more off-center it is, while still showing the date, the more valuable it becomes. But let's go deeper. Ever heard of a wrong planchet error? It's extremely rare, but yes, there are documented cases of 1982 quarters being struck on blanks meant for other coins, like dimes or foreign currency. These are typically lighter in weight and can appear slightly smaller or discolored. To the trained eye, they stand out immediately, and at auction, they fetch some serious attention. And then, there's the condition factor. Since there were no mint sets produced that year, finding a 1982 quarter in mint state, untouched by circulation, is like striking gold. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC use a 70-point scale to grade coins, and anything MS 65 or above is considered a gem. Combine that high grade with a rare error, and now you've got something truly special. Imagine holding that coin in your hand. Something that's been overlooked for decades. Something that could be sitting quietly in a coin jar, a dusty drawer, or an old wallet. You flip it under a light, take a closer look, and you realize, it's different. It's rare. It's valuable. And now, for the moment every collector waits for, the big reveal. One rare 1982 Washington quarter dollar, featuring a unique mint error and preserved in outstanding condition, has been professionally valued at an astonishing $69,000. That's right, $69,000. For a quarter that was once worth just 25 cents. So what are you waiting for? Check your change. Revisit that old coin stash. You never know what treasures you might already own. Today, we're turning the spotlight on a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but trust me, this one holds secrets that could be worth thousands. Yes, we're talking about the 1972 Washington quarter dollar, a small piece of change that most people have handled without ever realizing what it could be hiding. But don't let its simplicity fool you. Because this coin has a few versions out there that collectors would do anything to get their hands on. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple in U.S. coinage since 1932, celebrating the enduring legacy of George Washington. The 1972 version features the same familiar portrait we've all seen countless times, Washington's profile facing left, the word "Liberty" above him, "In God We Trust" to the side, and the date at the bottom. Flip it over, and you've got that bold American eagle standing proud, wings outstretched, arrows clutched beneath its talons. But what makes the 1972 quarter stand out from the rest? Well, 1972 was a busy year at the U.S. Mint. Millions of quarters were produced, yes, but within that enormous production run were a small number of mistakes. And it's those mistakes that have transformed some of these coins into legendary finds in the collector world. Let's talk errors, because that's where the real excitement begins. One of the most desirable and valuable errors found in 1972 quarters is the double die obverse. This error happens when the coin design is struck more than once, slightly misaligned, causing elements of the design to appear doubled. You might notice it in the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust. At first, it might look like a shadow effect, but under magnification, that doubling becomes clear, and collectors go crazy for it. Another prized error is the off-center strike. This is when the coin was struck with the blank not perfectly centered under the press, leaving part of the design missing and creating a crescent-shaped blank space. The more dramatic the off-center, and if the date is still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes, and there's more. Ever heard of a wrong planchet error? That's when a coin meant to be a quarter is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, or even a foreign coin. These mistakes often lead to unusual weights, odd coloration, or even slightly smaller or larger coins. If you find a 1972 quarter that seems a bit off, don't ignore it. That could be a huge clue. Then there are the clipped planchets. These errors occur when the metal sheet used to cut coin blanks overlaps during the punching process, creating coins with curved bites missing from their edges. Not only do these coins look wild, but they're also highly collectible. Now let's talk about something that can make or break the value of any coin: condition. Even with a rare error, a coin that's heavily worn won't fetch top dollar. But a coin in mint state condition, meaning it's uncirculated, with original shine and sharp detail, is a whole different story. In fact, coins graded MS 65 or higher are the holy grail for collectors, especially when they come with one of the rare 1972 minting errors we just talked about. Here's the thing: millions of these coins were produced, but only a tiny fraction carry these rare errors. And even fewer survived in pristine condition. Most people use these quarters for candy, parking meters, or soda machines, never knowing that a simple 25-cent piece might be worth thousands of dollars today. So what should you do? Start checking your change. Look at those old jars, that forgotten coin collection in the attic, the drawer where you throw loose change at the end of the day. Pull out any 1972 quarters and take a closer look. You never know, you might be holding something truly extraordinary. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the big reveal. A 1972 Washington quarter dollar, featuring a rare minting error and preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition, has been appraised and valued at a stunning $73,000. That's right. $73,000. For a coin that once jingled at the bottom of someone's pocket. So if you've ever doubted the magic of coin collecting, think again. Coins like these are not just pieces of metal, they're pieces of history, filled with potential, mystery, and yes, value. Today, we're digging into a coin that many people have seen, most people have spent, and almost no one realizes could be hiding a fortune right in their change jar. That's right. We're talking about the 1974 Washington quarter dollar, a coin so common on the surface, yet potentially incredibly rare and valuable under the right conditions. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. The familiar profile of George Washington, his strong and steady face facing left. The word liberty curved over his head. The motto, "In God we trust," to the side. And that little date, 1974, sitting quietly at the bottom. On the reverse, the proud American eagle with wings spread wide, standing on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. Classic, patriotic, timeless. But here's the thing: not all 1974 quarters are created equal. While millions of these were minted and entered circulation, only a tiny handful are truly special. And for the trained eye, or the lucky finder, these quarters can be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. So, what makes a 1974 quarter worth serious money? It all comes down to a combination of errors, rarity, and condition. Let's start with mint errors, those fascinating little mistakes made at the U.S. Mint during the striking process. Sometimes, those mistakes are so rare that they become legendary in the coin collecting world. One of the most talked about errors in 1974 quarters is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin is struck more than once with a misaligned die, causing doubling in the lettering and date. Look closely at "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year. If the letters or numbers look thicker or have a slight shadow, you're not imagining things. That could be a double die error, and it can boost the coin's value tremendously. Next up, the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press. The result? Part of the design gets shifted off the coin, leaving a blank crescent or arc on one side. These off-center errors are visually dramatic, and if the date is still visible, bingo. That's a collectible. Then there's the wrong planchet error. This one's super exciting. Imagine a quarter struck not on a quarter planchet, but on one meant for a dime or even a foreign coin. These are often lighter in weight and slightly smaller in size. They look just a little off, and that difference can mean big money. We also have clipped planchets, where the coin is missing a portion due to a cutting error before it was even struck. These clipped areas look like a chunk was bitten off the edge, and they're rare and highly collectible, but it doesn't stop with errors. Another factor that pushes a coin into the high-value category is condition. Most 1974 quarters were used daily, for parking meters, payphones, vending machines, you name it. That means most of them are worn down, scratched, or discolored. But every once in a while, one of these coins escapes circulation. It sits untouched, perfectly preserved, with its original mint luster still intact. These are called mint state coins, and they're graded on a scale up to 70. If you've got a 1974 quarter in MS-65 condition or higher, and it also features a rare mint error, now you're looking at a coin that could shock even veteran collectors. And here's a little-known fact. 1974 was just 1 year before the US Mint made major changes to coin compositions and designs during the bicentennial years. So coins from this year are often considered part of a transitional era, adding even more collector interest. Imagine this. You're sorting through some old change. Maybe you're going through a drawer of coins your parents or grandparents saved. Maybe you're just checking the change from your morning coffee. And there it is, a 1974 quarter. You flip it in the light. Something looks a little strange. You take a closer look. Could it be, now, for the moment everyone's been waiting for? You've stuck with me through the design details, the errors, the condition talk, and now it's time for the big number. Are you ready? A 1974 Washington quarter dollar, featuring a rare minting error and preserved in excellent uncirculated condition, has been professionally valued at a jaw-dropping $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000. For a quarter. So what are you waiting for? Go check your change jars. Dig into your old coin collections. That simple little 1974 quarter could be the key to a life-changing discovery. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell so you don't miss any future treasure hunting tips. We've got plenty more rare coins, collector insights, and unbelievable finds coming your way. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, your next big treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching.